Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to a brand new episode of Big Dumb Monsters. I am Chris.
And I'm Nick.
And today we are joined by very special guest, Douglas Arthur, who's here to talk
Destroy all monsters. You could do it.
Yeah. No, I had it, and then I need a second to leave for editing.
You destroyed that intro.
Yeah, I know.
That was amazing.
I hate intros so much. This should be the intro, just me bitching about doing intros. I
fuck these intros.
Yeah, I've done almost 300 episodes of podcasts at this point. I still cannot do an intro to save my life.
Well, this is the most extra special one. Because that's all going in.
So this is bitching about intros, episode 30. Today we're talking about Destroy All Monsters, and we are actually big dumb monsters. So thanks for listening, folks. Enjoy the show.
That's the thing is, I get super close to the mic. He stays a mile away.
Yeah. Again, I used to use an omnidirectional mic when I did my other podcast.
Oh, right.
I could be anywhere in the room, and I'm still getting subpar audio. But
well, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Is you come from that kind of mic technique, where I'm from being in bands, so you have to be in front of the mic.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And I I went to film school, so it's
you're in the middle.
Yeah, I'm right. Same thing. It's sometimes you want to catch that audio verite. Other times, you want to make sure you're getting the right noise. So
So it'll all wash.
Very
good. Man. So Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah.
Who picked this one?
This was me. Was
it you?
Yeah. I keep forgetting that it's hard for me anyway to look at these type of films critically, like kaiju films, giant monster films.
Right.
We did the original Godzilla for our first episode, and that's a little bit kind of different. That's more I don't want to put down the rest of the series because I do love all of these movies.
There was a lot of substance to that movie, though.
Yeah, there's substance to that movie. These are just monsters fighting. So I forget that these movies fill a very utilitarian role in my life. Not so much entertainment. I do find them entertaining. I love these movies, but I usually put them on when I want background noise if I'm doing something, or if I want to take a nap or something, I'll throw it on.
So you're telling me it's been a long time since you've actually watched one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I watched this in over at Proctor's with one of those. It came from Schenectady.
Oh yeah.
I've been to a couple of those. I missed that. I don't think they do it anymore.
No, not right now. The guy that runs it, my friend Paul Casey, was laid off because of COVID. Because obviously they weren't showing movies and stuff. They didn't need a film programmer.
Right.
But I think he's back working kind of part-time right now, but they're not programming really that many films at the moment. So, we'll see. I hope that he's able to come back and
they showed
do that again.
Tons great movies like this. They actually had the world premiere of Shin Godzilla at Proctor's.
That's right.
Not the world premiere, the U.S. premiere of Shin Godzilla.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a simultaneous premiere at It wasn't in chain theaters. It was all at kind of niche art houses and places like Proctor's that has that nice side theater, the GE.
Yeah.
The GE theater.
Yeah. I don't think we don't get that much of that kind of cool stuff around here, though, do we? It's pretty rare.
Not much anymore. It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
It's that's actually one of the things that it's that I miss. Because I think COVID kind of killed some of that stuff. They are doing some interesting things at the Linda on Central Avenue, part of WAMC.
Yeah.
And because I think one of the other, it came from Schenectady guys, Paul, I can't remember his last name.
Sorry, Paul.
Well, there's my friend Paul Casey, and then there's another guy that did it. I think his name was also Paul. I could be totally wrong, but he's like a programmer over there. I actually just went and saw Slumber Party Massacre over there. They had author Grady Hendrix was there to sign copies of his new book called Final Girl Support Group.
Oh yeah,
which is a totally cool book. So they're doing some interesting things there. They've got a documentary about Polly Styrene, who's the lead singer of X-Ray Specs, a punk band from back in the 80s. And that's coming up next month. So they've got some cool stuff, but it's not quite as frequent as what Proctor's had. It's just a matter of kind of keeping your eyes out for it.
Yeah, like we didn't have a lot of cool stuff like that before COVID, and
and what we did have,
after now, it's like, damn it, I want more of that type of stuff.
Yep,
for sure.
Man, we went tangent early,
real quick. Yeah, we just left it right behind.
I didn't even know we were recording, so that's probably the best.
Best surprise!
Part. Yeah, shocker.
Yeah.
We like to get like that rolling start, and then we can just kind of cut in wherever we need to. So
very good.
Yeah, man.
But I keep I forget that these are just like I said, very utilitarian for me, and like it was an effort kind of like to watch this whole thing because my natural instinct is to like just nod off and like I had to rewind a couple of times.
I did definitely feel my eyes droop a little bit, but I was comfortable, man. I was sitting in my chair.
Yeah.
The dog was on my lap.
Blanket up. I'm just, like, this is great.
Yep. My youngest was watching it with me. He was sitting on the side of me. It was a good Saturday afternoon watch, but.
Yeah. And that is how, like, I came about, like, getting introduced to Godzilla movies was Saturday afternoon. Like, when I was younger, we had WPIX. In this area, it was a New York City TV station.
Yeah, we got that too.
And they had Morgus the Magnificent, who was like a monster movie host, and like they would do like Godzilla movies, and that's where I like mainly found these movies.
Yeah,
I was old enough, or I'm old enough, where WPIX had Chiller Theater.
Yeah, the six-fingered hand coming up out of the ground.
That look it up on YouTube if you haven't ever seen it. The Chiller Theater. Intro.
Mm-hmm. I actually went to Chiller Theater Con in Jersey years and years ago.
It's the creepiest thing. It's totally creepy.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Yes. It's still. It's definitely got a cult fandom.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just Chiller Theater is using the name at this point. I don't think Chiller Theater is really a thing anymore, right?
No, not on TV. No.
Yeah. No.
I think they're just like a media outlet at this point.
Yeah, the only type of thing still going like that is Svengoolie that I know of anyway. Like the monster movie type of
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, I think you can still find him on MeTV or something.
Yeah, but I think there's guys on like YouTube who like do stuff like that too.
Yeah. I mean, you'll find there's always weirdos out there.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Jerry Only from the Misfits did a pilot.
Oh, really?
Thing like that. Yeah.
I'm surprised Rob Zombie hasn't done something.
Yeah, give him time.
Yeah, he definitely could. I'd watch it.
Yeah, yeah. For all the crap like people give his movies, like I'd definitely watch that.
Yeah, he's got insight into horror movies. Like that's his shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Destroy All Monsters.
I'm going to predict it's going to be very hard to stay on topic for this.
I think we want to talk about anything but this movie.
And again, it's not that we don't like the movie. Like it was like there's not a lot of substance. I mean, like there's like things I definitely liked about this movie when I look at it critically, not just like nostalgically, like,
right?
But yeah, it was like I said, it was a slog to get through.
Yeah, I mean, and as you're saying this, you've got the movie going, and one of the dumbest scenes in the movie just happened, where
there's gas under the door.
There's gas coming in out of the door. So what do? They open the door and let the gas into the room to like, so they're all getting drugged.
The gas will mix with the air. And
it'll dissipate. Yeah, it'll dissipate.
It's like, oh, there's a fire. Let's open the door and let the fire in.
Idiots.
It's just crazy. And apparently opening the door also is gassing the monsters now, too.
Totally. There's a lot of logic missing from this movie. And even beyond where, like, whatever, it's a monster movie, the giant monsters are illogical to begin with. But like, there's humans who are acting so illogically that I can't even stand it.
and somehow, the trip from Earth to the moon is, just like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's like running to get groceries.
But when you've got the X-23 jet or whatever the hell it is.
It's SY3.
SY3.
I don't know. I just watched it last night at like 10 o'clock, so I'm like all in.
The first in a line of useless vehicles in Godzilla movies. The next being the X2 and the Super X2 after that.
Oh gosh, yeah, the Super X.
Yeah.
Or Super X.
Yeah.
Super.
And like they always made a big deal of like, oh, the Super X, we're gonna bring the Super X in, and it always was completely ineffective and then immediately destroyed.
Now this is one of the craziest things too. Is like they've got they just flashed on him that they've got like that English stereotype butler guy.
Yeah.
Who is he? They never explain who he is, and he's just kind of like. They
don't explain a lot of things in this
he's
movie.
just like
he's just there.
They dressed him stereotypically English with like this vest, and he's got a top hat and a cane. It's crazy, and he's just there to say
tuxedo with tails.
Yeah.
I want to say his name is Dr. Stevenson.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Does it matter?
No. Nope.
Oh man, but. One of the things that's interesting about this movie, it's set in 1999, so it's about 31 years, because I think this was in 1968. This came out in Japan, and then 69 here in the States.
Yeah.
So it was about a 30-year difference between the film and what they were projecting the future is going to be. So, we're not quite 30 years hence from 1999, but
like almost not quite in the middle. Yeah.
So.
Oh, but that is weird. We're 23 years past that.
One of the things I can say that's really cool about this movie is I do like the spacesuits that they wear. Those yellow spacesuits.
Really, the Devo suits?
Yeah, they're actually kind of cool. I think. Well, I'm a big Devo fan, so I guess that helps.
They are far too bright.
I was gonna say, like, for guys who are like from Japan, they're probably like. They're going to Monster Island. They're tooling around in like the South Pacific in these heavy rubber suits. Like that's got to be uncomfortable and just smelly. Like
So I mean, usually I think in the first part of the show, you guys usually do like a plot summary.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
There
is the plot.
There is, but like, good luck getting it.
It's kind of an oddball thing, but.
It's an alien invasion movie.
Yeah.
I mean, if you boil it down.
Yes.
Yeah, like why are the aliens invading?
I think they just want.
They just want to play. It's not that they necessarily want to take over the world, but they're like
they want.
Yeah, they're like we can take over the world, like if we want to.
It doesn't make any sense because later on in the movie we discover that. They need extreme heat.
Yeah, I think they wanted to like bore into the earth
to survive. Otherwise, they kind of turn into these little like slugs that crawl under a rock.
Yep.
And it's like, well, why would you want to come to a planet where the weather is cool? There's lots of water.
Like the top like 10% and the bottom 10% of the planet are pretty much uninhabitable for
It's like go to Venus or Mercury. If you want heat.
Yeah.
This is not the planet for you. So it just that part of it doesn't make sense either. But here we are trying to talk logic in a Godzilla movie. It doesn't make any sense.
I think the best takeaway from this movie is like, okay, so it's an alien invasion, so they obviously bring in their own heavy hitter monster in King Ghidorah. Ghidorah, my bad.
Or Ghidorah.
Ghidorah.
I once got corrected on that myself.
Ghidorah, yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, it was Ghidorah.
Yeah.
And then later on, they added the O.
Yeah. It was Ghidra, and then now it's Ghidorah.
Yeah, then it was Ghidorah, and then it was King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
I mean, but apparently, if you look at the subtitles in this movie, it's translated as King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
In the subtitles. So it probably wasn't being translated properly. When it was initially released here in the U.S. when they were dubbing it, and they just didn't give a.
Yeah, well, you've got your Gojira, Godzilla.
Godzilla,
right. Yeah. Well, Godzilla is objectively a cooler name. I think. Although Gojira's got its charm.
A great band.
yeah, they're pretty cool.
Oh, there's the spaceship that just goes back and forth.
Is that the Thunderbird?
What's interesting about that too is that given the special effects of the time is it's got the rockets coming out, and even though they're in the anti-gravity of space, the smoke goes up.
Yeah,
and there's still flames too, despite there not being oxygen in space.
Right.
Man, look at all that fishing line.
I was gonna say I actually did like the mini work in this movie. Like a lot of times, in these movies, like
it depends on the scene. Like it was good in certain scenes.
There was a lot of detail in the stuff. Like particularly like there was a couple of shots of like trains going by, like subways, and like you could see like there's people in the cars, and like everything's moving pretty fluidly. A lot of times, these things are moving like kind of herky jerky.
Right.
Those tanks look like they brought those right from the dollar store, though.
Yeah.
Look like there's those like 4th of July like firework tanks. You like light them up, and they go like 10 feet and like shoot 3 times and blow up.
Yeah. There's a lot of really, even if they don't necessarily look great as far as by today's standards.
Yeah.
They're well composed.
Yeah.
Like even like that opening tracking shot, as cheesy as some of those models look, it's actually a pretty complicated shot.
It's very
as it scans across the.
You get the helicopter like taking off.
Yeah. It's very artistic, even though you can tell that they were limited on what amount of detail they could put into it.
Exactly, and there's a cool shot coming up soon, a little bit later, where Manda is wrapping himself around the
the bridge.
The bridge,
yeah.
But they do this cool shot where like Godzilla's in the background and Manda's in the foreground, and the way the camera moves and the way it's framed, it's a really cool looking shot. And so there's certain artistic things about it, that are tough to dismiss.
Dislike. You could definitely just sit here and take the piss out of it all day because it is a super super cheesy movie, but they did pay attention to their shot setups and making sure that everything was as good as they could make it.
Right. So this movie too is the last time that the big 3 of the Toho movies work together. So Ishiro Honda directed this. You've got Akira Ifukube doing the music and Ije Tsuburaya doing the special effects. Okay. It's the last time that all 3 of them worked on a Godzilla movie together. They all worked on future movies, but not all together.
Not at the same time.
It was either maybe 2 of the 3, 1 of the 3. Mm-hmm. And this is not the last Honda directed Godzilla movie. He did Terror of Mechagodzilla. That was his last one, but I think this was his last one before that.
He wrote the 2018 Godzilla too.
Did they?
Or not 2000? Well, the one with what the hell year was it?
14.
The
American one?
Yeah.
They might have given him a story credit on that. When did he die? I'm trying to remember. He was.
I might have that info queued up for the.
I feel like I feel like he might have passed in the 90s because he was pretty old.
Oh well, maybe they gave him like a posthumous story credit.
I
remember seeing something. He had a writing credit for that movie.
I'll have to look at that, but it's that's one of the things that's kind of interesting about this because if you look at the progression of Godzilla movies, the ones that are kind of previous to this are definitely getting to be a little more kid oriented. You've got the dancing Godzilla and Invasion of the Astro Monster.
The one doing like the jumping.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's very famous. And you start getting, I think, Son of Godzilla and All Monsters Attack, which is also known as Godzilla's Revenge. That's when you start getting the little kids in the movies.
Yeah.
Especially with Minya.
But so if this one, there's like no kids. It's much more adult, quote unquote. And from what I read, this was actually supposed to be the last Godzilla movie.
Oh,
because
really?
it was kind of diminishing returns. They weren't making as much money. It wasn't as popular, and they're like, all right, we'll go out with a bang. We'll have all of our monsters.
That's
in
kind of
one
odd
movie.
because like he is the hero of the story, and I mean he's the one who defeats kind of Ghidorah at the end,
Right.
But like he's not in the movie all that much.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, I was amazed at how much Rodan was in this movie.
Yeah.
By comparison. So that this was supposed to be the last hurrah, but funny thing happened. This movie actually made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it kind
we'll
of
do another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll start doing another one.
Well,
And-
the thing about Godzilla not being like the starring role in this, is it's not Godzilla destroy all monsters. It's destroy all monsters.
Yeah.
It's the human side of them dealing with
This is like
all the monsters.
Yeah, your Avengers Endgame of monster movies at the time. basically.
That's pretty much it. And that's another thing that I don't think this series gets as much credit for is like you've got the combined universe.
Yeah. Bringing them all together.
This is a crossover universe before it was cool, really. There was a little bit in the Universal monsters, not as much there, and it wasn't necessarily the same Dracula and the same Wolfman when they were meeting up. It was just kind of like, oh hey, let's throw these two characters together, but it wasn't really a shared universe. But this, things that happen in one movie kind of carry on. They might show up in another movie. Like for example, at the end of Godzilla Raids Again, Godzilla gets frozen into an iceberg. At the beginning of King Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla breaks out of the iceberg that he got frozen into. So you already start seeing, continuation of story and universe, within the Toho Kaiju series.
I was just saying, I like the concept of using the monsters as like a weapon too. I think like that would be cool if they did it like in one of the more modern like monster movies. I would like to see something like that.
And it's funny too because that trope in this film with them remote controlling the monsters, it's not even original to the series. You go back to I think it was Invasion of the Astro Monster, where they're controlling Godzilla and Rodan. The aliens kidnap them and are mind controlling them to attack. Is it the
same? Is it the same alien
No,
race?
that's one. It's the Planet X.
Yeah, which aliens I think they're called.
I think so, but they've got the really cool, like the black strip sunglasses that go across.
Like the ping pong helmets.
Yeah.
Those are some cool looking aliens. I have to admit.
Like the black leather vests. Yeah.
I mean, the Kilax here in this movie, they kind of look like, kind of glam rock flappers from the 1920s.
Yeah. Look like Dazzler from the X-Men almost.
It is kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that sequin bath cap there.
Yeah, it's really funny. I feel like they should be doing like a Busby Berkeley routine at some point.
Like some synchronized swimming or something. Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The 60s were wild. That's really all there is to it.
Absolutely. So
I love that the big plan is to call, the Kilax like big plan at the end is to call King Ghidorah down.
Yeah.
And then like he gets a couple of good punches in, and then
he got curb stomped.
Oh my god.
What ensues is like a legendary ass whipping. Like,
Oh my god. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's such a beatdown.
Yeah. like for like a second, yeah, you got us. Now we're done. Yeah, like just beat the shit out of him.
That's like a real fight with 6 people versus one person.
I mean, like they literally have him on the ground and like you said, curb stomping.
That's the funny thing too. Like even in that final battle, like there's a couple of the monsters that they feature aren't even there. Like Baragon.
Yeah, what the hell did Baragon?
Like they actually show Baragon like landing in the background, and then he's not in the fight at all, and then he gets a close up at the end.
Yeah, they show him at the end too.
I think I have that in the trivia as to why that happens.
All right, and even Rodan is there at the beginning, and then
he just kind of buzzes in.
Yeah, he just swoops back around at the end. Like he just made a final lap around the like, oh, it's over. Sorry, I just got back.
Yeah, and there's another like kind of obscure monster called Varan, who basically has a cameo in the background, same kind of thing.
Yep.
But I know you've got trivia about that, but I have my own theory as to why that is. But we'll save that for later.
I think I've got it in there. I definitely saw something. I can't remember if I grabbed that one, but we'll discuss it if it's not there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
There's the rubber jumpsuits.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't want to like jump in and talk too much, but
No, go for it.
it's
man.
like
That's what you're here for.
I'm excited. I love Godzilla movies completely.
Same here.
I have my own podcast, and I've probably done at least 3 episodes on Godzilla movies.
This is the first time we've repeated a monster. Godzilla is our first second appearance monster.
Yep.
Well, he certainly has enough sequels.
Yeah.
Oh, we could probably just keep going on Godzilla movies if we wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
No,
we could.
I mean, you've got to get back to like Ghoulies 2 and Ghoulies 3.
Oh no, we don't.
Never say that again. No.
You are banned.
or what was the other? Like, there's, Ghoulies was a Gremlins knockoff, and of course, but then there was what was it, Munchies?
Munchies, Critters.
Which were a Ghoulies knockoff.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Oh God.
So bad.
I'm traumatized from that episode.
All right, let's move on to some ratings.
Okay.
If you,
I'm gonna rate this Mai Tai like a 9 right now. I can't believe I drank the whole thing already.
All right.
Jesus Christ. So that's how the night's going.
Yeah.
All right, Christopher.
All right. I'm gonna do a 2 scale. I'm gonna do like a monster movie scale and like a regular movie scale.
I don't see those numbers being very different at all.
I do.
Yeah, they're drastically different.
If you're a lover of monster movies, I'm gonna say this is maybe like an 8. It's got a bunch of monsters. It's got a lot of cool like monster battles. Monsters. I like I said, I love the scene where the monsters are just kind of like attacking simultaneously all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. The battle at the end is pretty cool. As far as like a regular movie, let's be honest, this is like a 4. Yeah. I'm rating it a 4 because it's got monsters in it. If we're gonna, it's not great. The aliens' plan is just we're gonna invade using monsters. Why?
Monsters?
Yeah.
They're already here, I guess.
We've got the technology to do it. Whatever. So I don't know. It's not great, but as far as monster movies goes, you can't beat it. It's awesome.
Yeah, if I'm going two different movie scales for a monster movie in itself, I don't need that human storyline to be great.
Yeah,
I need it to be better than this.
Yeah.
So I'm probably at a 7.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the giant monster battles are really what saves it. If it was just kind of the monsters are destroying the city and then they go away, it would even be lower than that.
Yeah.
But that fun battle at the end is what really saves it.
Before I forget about this, there's one scene I wanted to point out. It hasn't happened yet. It's coming up in a little bit. When Kyoko, I think her name is, she goes back after she's been possessed or whatever. She's been taken over by the aliens, the Kilax.
After he rips her fucking earrings out.
Evil, yeah, that specifically, yeah.
That was fucking hardcore.
Yeah.
I totally don't remember that as a kid. But holy cow.
So she goes back to the lab.
Just unclasp them, dude.
Yeah. Where they're all kind of meeting and they figure out the earrings are controlling her. And the guy rips her earring out of her ear. It's just bleeding everywhere.
Both of them. Just tears them.
No, the first one he rips out. The other one they just take out.
No. She was bleeding on both sides.
Oh,
he ripped them both.
I thought she was just bleeding on the one side.
She was bleeding worse on the one side.
Yeah.
But I want to
must have had a blood budget.
When he does that, he turns away and holds the earrings up. The entire room is now focused on the earrings, going wow. Meanwhile, there's a girl bleeding on the ground that nobody's paying attention to.
And this is supposedly a girl that he loves. they're they have this kind of romantic phone conversation at the beginning where he's calling from the moon. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Well, by the way,
she wasn't fighting him about the earrings. He just yoink.
Yeah. But yeah, room full of dudes. Focused on the earrings, girl on the ground in pain, bleeding.
Yep.
Nobody paying attention.
That was intense. I'm like, that seemed like a Tarantino kind of scene. You know, it was
Yeah.
really pretty amazing. You know,
Get the gib.
Okay,
man.
so yeah, probably 7 for the monster movie scale. Regular, like, run-of-the-mill movie scale. Yeah, it's not. It's never going to be more
Even
than
the
a 4.
I gave it is high.
4 is high.
Yeah.
Like 3.5 is probably
Even
it.
high.
I it's hard to argue with either of those ratings.
Yeah.
I think it's not a great movie as a movie, although I do see there is some artistic merit to what there's definitely some
There's vision.
some
Yeah.
good I keep wanting to my film school background is showing because I want to say mise en scène.
Sure. Yeah.
But
whatever.
there's some good art direction. There's some good film compositions and there's there. In fact, there was a scene just a few minutes ago that we missed, but it was a behind shot, and there was like this screen with all these like curls and circles and stuff. And the way they framed it was they had the two characters perfectly circled by this screen, and then the we were behind this other character who was talking to them, and it was just this really cool composition of a shot. And I'm like, you don't see that a lot in like most B movies. They just set up the camera, shoot it,
Yeah,
let's get our
just
shot,
roll it, yeah.
let's get out. But there's definitely some artistic vision in this movie. Honda directed like 50 movies, and only 15 or 20 of them were special effects movies, like the Godzilla movies. So he did a lot of other cool movies. And he was a contemporary of Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah, I think we touched on that on our Godzilla episode.
Yeah, they came up together at Toho Studios.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
And Honda had to got pulled into the military and was gone for a few years and kind of came back and had to start from scratch. And by then, Kurosawa was already.
We'll get to it in the better known as.
Yeah.
There are some people who were in this who were in the Kurosawa movies.
Definitely. So as far as my ratings go, it's tough to put as an actual movie.
Yeah, that's why I had to do 2 scales.
I would say it's maybe average because it's not boring, it's not terrible, but it's not great.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe like a 5.5, maybe a 6. I'll give it a little extra there.
That's generous.
That is. As a monster movie, I wouldn't go much higher than that either. Maybe like a 7. But as a Godzilla movie, it's like top 5.
Yeah.
When you compare it to other Godzilla movies, I think it's in that upper pantheon of Godzilla movies, because there have been a lot of stinkers in this series.
Yeah.
You have to admit.
This is like around didn't we have like talking Godzilla and like Godzilla versus Megalon was it around this time?
It was Godzilla versus Gigan where they had the talking. The talking one. And I think there was one where they didn't talk, but they subtitled them.
Yuck.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Man.
That was Godzilla versus Gigan, which is also known as Godzilla on Monster Island, which I actually saw in a movie theater. There used to be a theater over behind Colony Center.
Yes, I remember that.
If you remember that theater, I forget what's there now. I think it's those apartment buildings.
No, those were. I actually lived there when I was a kid, so that was like around the same time. I think it's just like a salt storage thing now.
Yeah. It might be, but
was it the Hellman thing? No,
I saw Rocky Horror for the first time at that theater.
Oh yeah, I used to do that there. Yeah.
So anyway, I digress on that. But yeah, that was probably my least favorite. That's probably my least favorite Godzilla movie. That's like a 0.0.
Ooh.
It's horrible.
So that'll be the next one we do.
Oh.
So that's my rating. That's my rating system.
All right.
All right.
You guys ready for some trivia?
Let's do some trivia.
All right.
Not to bother you with trivia.
I used to think they were kind of trivial.
According to IMDb, this is only the second film since the original 1954 in which Godzilla himself actually appears in or attacks Tokyo. In Godzilla Raids Again, he appears in Osaka. In King Kong vs. Godzilla, he never actually makes it to the city. In Mothra vs. Godzilla, he appears in Nagoya. In Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, he appears in Yokohama. In Invasion of the Astro Monster, he emerges from Lake Myojin and battles the Nagano Prefecture. Blah, 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 blah. He just never makes it back to Tokyo.
Yeah. It's more of a country boy, I guess.
And
Yeah.
and Godzilla versus Ibira, or that's on some island somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think they eventually wind up moving to like fantasy islands and stuff like that.
I think the sets were cheaper.
Yeah.
It's probably they
They have to make as many buildings. Yeah.
Trees or buildings. Originally, there were plans to have 2 other monsters in the movie as well as the 11 that were used, but those monsters were to have been Ibira and the giant walrus Maguma from Gorath.
Oh,
So that's one I don't know Maguma, but I know Ibira is the giant crab or the giant lobster.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. The Manda puppet is the same one used in Atragon.
Atragon, yep.
However, a new head was designed for it, minus the horns, due to the fact that the old one looked so similar to King Ghidorah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I always thought it was Reptilicus until I saw it when I was older.
That's
Same giant, snaky monster.
giant snaky monster.
Yeah.
Reptilicus was a Danish production, I think.
Yeah. I didn't know back then.
It's a giant monster movie when you're a kid. They're all the
I'm
same.
not that smart now. I mean,
The island that all the monsters live on is officially called Monsterland, not Monster Island.
Yeah.
Monster Island would not be introduced until the subsequent film, and it's a different location than Monsterland.
I want to say it was a Simpsons joke. We have to go to Monster Island. And oh, don't worry, that's just a name. Oh, okay, it's really a peninsula.
Yeah, that actually jumped out at me when I was watching. It's like they actually called it Monsterland. in this?
Yeah, I just remember Monster Island.
Right.
Well, they eventually wind up on Monster Island. It's just not this one.
That's true, because later on in the movie, it's like it kind of interchanged. Like early in the movie, they were calling it Monsterland, and then they were actually calling it by the actual island name, which
Yeah.
It was
escapes me at the
the
moment.
Bonine Islands, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
It was,
something like that.
it was something different, yeah. But anyway,
Moving right along.
yes. I'm sorry.
The friendly look continued in Godzilla's appearance from 1968 to 1972. Godzilla, by this time, was perceived as the hero of the world in his movies instead of an indestructible demon from the nuclear age, which is why you get that kind of goofy look with the big eyes and the long
big,
neck and the
googly
round
eyes.
head.
Yeah.
He's not mean-looking anymore, which I gravitate toward the mean-looking Godzilla.
Yeah.
I can like both, but there's some transitional periods where it just looks terrible.
Yeah. Yep.
I think he actually looks okay in this movie.
He's okay. He's not full-on goofy in
No,
this
he
one.
gets full on goofy like in Godzilla versus Ghidorah, and
I just watched that not too long ago.
and later on, he definitely gets goofier looking.
Yep.
But in this one, he's kind of like in that midway point where he actually looks okay.
Yeah. I'm a fan of like a more angular head, smaller eyes.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I'm a fan of the Millennium era Godzilla.
Yeah.
That was my favorite
'Cause
Godzilla.
It just
for
looks
sure.
ferocious. It's got the big, huge spikes coming out of the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that design.
I I'm a huge Shin Godzilla design fan.
That also, I really love the design of that one.
The only thing that bugs me about Shin Godzilla is his arms are like T-Rex tiny, and I'm just like,
arms.
He doesn't use them. Like I guess, but,
I guess I don't know. I mean, otherwise I do kind of like that design, but
Yeah.
like the head design, the radiation burn look that they gave him.
Yeah.
Like it's like a complete look for me.
Oh, for sure, definitely.
This was Mothra's and Rodan's final regular appearance in the Showa era film. They would return for the, I'm going to mispronounce this, Heisei
Yeah.
Heisei
series, but their powers were drastically altered.
Yeah, they did change, and Mothra was like more of a
like cocoon, not cocoon Mothra, but like pupa Mothra, basically.
Yeah.
For this whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just spraying weirdness out of his mouth.
Yeah, it's like a giant grub.
Yeah, they didn't. Mothra is one of those weird characters where it's like, I think because it's based on a caterpillar. I don't think it's the same Mothra in every movie.
It doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
in fact, there's always like, oh, look, we found this Mothra egg at the end of the movie. Like,
right,
Mothra died.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I think in the one movie where Godzilla versus Mothra, there's actual Mothra, and then there's two larvae Mothra that attack him.
Maybe Mothra is a species and not a character.
Or it could be just a state of being.
I think it's really confusing, like in the later ones, because you have like Mothra, and then you have like Batra, which is like the evil Mothra.
Yeah, evil Mothra. And then there's Mecha Batra.
Yeah.
That's too much.
And Mecha King Ghidorah too, or Ghidorah.
Yeah. Who is like a time traveling from the future.
Yeah, his kids come back from the future.
Yeah, like it's not bad enough that he's like some kind of cyborg recreation.
Like 400-foot long cyborg.
He's also a time traveler.
That's so bad. Until Godzilla Final Wars in 2004, this movie featured more monsters than any other in the Godzilla series. It had Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, Anguirus, Minya, Spiga, Baragon, Gorosaurus, Manda, and Varan.
He's tearing. He's tearing the.
Pull them shits right out of her ear.
He definitely pulled both ears.
Everybody's taking pictures. Poor girl's on the floor.
I think he's standing on her hair or something.
Yeah, it's like there's a crowd of them, and like there's no space for her in that crowd. She's like being trampled underfoot.
This poor woman.
Right. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
We talked about that earlier.
Now pick her up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then shake her and yell at her.
It's just missing a 60s slap. Yep.
Yeah.
Get a hold of yourself.
Back when hysteria was a thing.
Yeah.
In both the Japanese and U.S. versions, Gorosaurus is accidentally called Baragon when he's attacking France. Baragon was supposed to do that scene. In fact, Gorosaurus was given Baragon's roar and was burrowing underground, which is an ability that Baragon has, not Gorosaurus.
Baragon's agent threatened the director and
yeah.
Must have needed that credit.
Yeah, we're giving all your lines to Gorosaurus. That's it. Fuck you.
I have some trivia on Gorosaurus, but I have a feeling you might.
I don't.
No, go for it.
No. Oh, okay. So Gorosaurus actually appeared. Obviously, all of the monsters in this movie appeared previously, but he appeared the year before in King Kong Escapes, which was Toho kind of did another King Kong movie. Mm-hmm. What's notable about that is that movie was directed by Arthur Rankin Jr., who
Rankin Bass,
of Rankin Bass fame. Rankin and Bass had done a King Kong cartoon back in the 60s, and they brought some of the characters from the cartoon show into the movie King Kong Escapes.
Rankin and Bass, they were like the H.R. Pufnstuf guys, right?
Yeah. Oh, no.
That's like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's
That's Sid and Marty Krofft.
That's right.
Did all that stuff. But yeah, Rankin and Bass did, Frosty, Rudolph,
That's
Year
right.
Without a Santa Claus, all of that stuff.
I always get those two mixed up.
And the main villain in King Kong Escapes was Doctor Who.
Really?
He was the villain. And that was actually, King Kong Escapes was the first time they had a mechanical monster. They had Mechani-Kong,
Oh yeah. I've always wondered what movie that was from because
Yeah.
I've seen it before and I never.
It's an interesting watch. I rewatched it a few years ago when it finally came out on DVD. And that's actually one that I kind of wish was included in this Showa era Criterion set.
Is that the one that has like that like pop art pink background?
Yeah. It's a nice set.
Yeah.
So Gorosaurus actually first appeared in that movie, it's that's worth seeking out if you haven't seen it. It's a fun movie. I mean, it's not great by any imagination, but
if monster movie, if kaiju movies are your thing,
just the fact that you've got Arthur Rankin directing it, there's a whole story behind it. Obviously,
I'll have to see if that one. Because I watched this on Pluto TV today, and they have...
It's also on HBO Max, by the way.
They have a ton of these movies on Pluto.
Oh, nice.
Like, I was shocked. Yeah. Like, at the...
HBO Max also has, I think, want to say most of,
Well, they did. I don't know
they
if
really?
why am I blanking on the name of the era?
Showa,
thanks.
The Showa era.
Yeah.
I had them on my watch list, and then the other day when I was scrolling through my watch list, there was like half of my stuff was gone. So I don't know if maybe they lost their license on them or not.
Maybe.
Sometimes stuff doesn't stay on streaming, but I'll double check and see if they're still on there. But King Kong Escapes is definitely worth a look. But yeah, Gorosaurus doesn't seem to have any real powers. He's just kind of like a T-Rex.
He's a dinosaur.
He's a big dinosaur.
He's just a big dinosaur.
Moving on to our next fact here. This is This is one of only 2 films in which Mothra does not appear with the Shobijin, the tiny twin priestesses.
Oh yeah.
The Peanuts, as they're also known.
I don't recall which was the other film.
The other one was.
It did, but I cut it off because I didn't think I would need it, and then here I am.
And some assholes like, what movie was that from?
Originally, the writers wanted to depict some of the benefits of future scientific advancements, like settlements on the moon or genetically enlarged fruit, but these concepts were dropped due to budget constraints. Because they had to have like 1 or 2 more monsters in there.
Yeah, and actually, that was something I was going to talk about later. But on the Criterion supplement disc, there's an interview with Ishiro Honda where he actually talks about that.
Yeah.
He wanted to do more with this movie, and it just wasn't because of the budget. They had to cut some of that. Some of that stuff.
I think it probably would have made it a stronger movie. Like we talk about this all the time. It's like you find out like a lot of things wind up getting cut from movies for budgetary constraints or time constraints.
Would have made it a much better movie.
Yeah,
for sure. There's sometimes there's a certain level of kind of like a killer instinct that you get like when you get an accountant behind making creative decisions. It's we could do that, but
it costs too much.
It costs too much.
But it really sets up like the entire theme of the movie. No, it's too expensive.
Why don't we just rerun this explosion we already filmed from a previous scene?
Replay that scream.
I want to say it's like one of the Transformers movies recycles a scene from Michael Bay's The Island. It's like a chase scene, except it just got now like Transformers like CGI'd into it.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
That's like the original ending of Blade Runner, where they used some footage from The Shining. In the original ending, they're driving kind of off through the snowy.
Original theatrical cut.
And they actually Kubrick bought footage from The Shining. I have that backwards. Ridley Scott
bought it from Kubrick.
From Kubrick, and because he, obviously that's a whole different show, Blade Runner. So there's like a million different versions.
I love Blade Runner.
Me too.
I want to say I saw like a meme with a Wendy Torrance baseball card earlier.
With the fucking cigarette.
No, she's got like
Oh,
she's
shit.
got the crazy look. She's holding
the
the
baseball bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the 70s like Topps card.
It's so funny. Shelley Duvall, she always kind of gets a bad rap, but she was actually pretty talented. Did you ever watch, or she used to do a thing? I
The
think it was
Mother
on,
Goose stories on
yeah,
HBO.
it was the
I was
fairy tale theater.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
post,
was.
like, I aged out of that by then, but I do remember that.
And I think it was on HBO.
It was HBO.
yeah, I want to
for
say
sure.
it was.
It was actually a pretty decent series.
I want to. It was on a podcast. I want to say it was Patton Oswalt's podcast. He was talking about recently. He just rewatched Popeye,
Yeah.
and he's like watching that movie, knowing that like it's right after she did The Shining, and the reason she did Popeye was like she wanted to do something fun and like lighthearted and like where somebody's not berating her, like
Her hair started falling out during The Shining.
Yeah.
And like the performance she gives in that movie is just so like you just can't help but love that movie because like she's just getting out of all this crap. She's just getting all over it and like
I love Popeye.
I did too.
Not great, but like it's so fun. Like,
I remember watching it a lot when I was a kid. Yeah, and
it nails Popeye. Like everything
totally.
you love about Popeye.
Totally.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I remember going to see that that was a movie I went to see with my dad, back in the day.
Robin Williams slipping in dirty jokes every now and then.
I rented that on beta when I was a kid. That's how long ago that was.
I look back on it as like almost all the movies I went to with my dad were like comic related.
Yeah.
Superman the movie back in 1978 was I think the first time I went to the movies with my dad. He was not a big moviegoer, strangely, because I learned later that when he was growing up, he worked at the movie theater in town and he loved the movies.
Yeah.
And
you just kind of probably just burned out on going to the movies.
Well, partly, but also 7 kids. So
that'll do it. Yeah.
It just didn't have the time.
Yeah, I want to say I think I went to the movies twice with my dad ever. And
Once.
Once was Back to the Future, and the other one was Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw The Haunting with my dad.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah, that was it.
The Liam Neeson, the remake?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh boy, who directed? Was that Jan de Bont?
Jan de Bont, yeah. It
Jan
was.
de Bont, however you pronounce that.
Yeah.
That guy.
I'm an American. It's Jan.
That guy.
Jan.
That guy. The speed guy.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Shut up, Donner. Let's see here.
Donner does not like this movie.
No.
He has opinions. He has opinions about a lot of movies.
He does. He really does.
Certain things we say. The English dub mentions that the film takes place in 1999, while the original Japanese narration leaves it ambiguous by stating the events occur near the end of the 20th century. Prop newspapers were dated for 1994, although they're not visible in the film.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember them specifically saying 1999 in the one I watched today.
Yeah.
They did say end of the century in the beginning.
I think I've always seen the dubbed version. That was in. I don't remember if the subtitles actually say 1999 or not. I wasn't paying attention while we have this rolling here.
No, I think it's just in the future.
Yeah.
In the year 2000.
All right, so this is our last official IMDb fact here.
Okay, all right.
The budget of this film was 3 times that of the original Godzilla, which at its time was the most expensive Japanese film ever made.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And it's only, it's about 15 years later.
Yeah, this is 68,
14, 15 years later.
Yeah.
So, I think they were, as I mentioned before, from what I was reading, this was supposed to be kind of the last hurrah.
Yeah, the end of it, yeah.
The kind of the send-off for all of these characters, because they brought back, characters from all the other Toho monster movies that weren't necessarily...
It was like a greatest hits.
Yeah. Like Baragon and Varan, who has blink and you miss him.
Yeah.
And Manda, were not in Godzilla movies. They were in other movies. Mm-hmm. And actually, that's one character that doesn't show up was Mogera, who actually comes in. I think is in Final Wars.
Yeah, probably every character is in Final Wars.
Yeah. Oh man. So I think we were discussing this a little bit before the show, and maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but do we know if any of these actors appeared in Murder, She Wrote?
Well, it is a good time to move on to the better known as.
Are we going to break the streak?
We, unfortunately, I'm going to say it.
Hold on. Yeah, let's do the slow reveal.
All right.
Pardon me while I eat a brownie.
Yeah. We'll save it for the end. The better known as this week is going to be pretty rough, only because there's not a lot of stuff that everybody, there's not a lot of stuff that the people who were in this movie were in afterwards, and the things that they were in are all incredibly similar. Everybody's IMDb in this movie is almost identical. They've all been in the same movies.
Yeah.
Some of them maybe had some stuff like more recently, but for the most part, everybody's just kind of like in the 70s and 80s and kind of stops around there.
Yeah, it's me and Chris were talking a little before we started recording. Like, we have a theory that they're like just like contracted Toho
studio
players.
Yeah, there's definitely studio players. You watch enough of these movies and you're like, I totally recognize that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know what his name is, but I recognize him. And that's clear for probably most of these actors. Now, one thing too is I think this is one of the sweatiest movies I've seen. I don't know if you noticed, but
these rubber suits, man. It's the rubber suits.
These guys are sweating in like so many scenes, and it's not even just when they're in a scene where they're supposed to be hot.
I think it's supposed to be stress sweat.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like a deodorant commercial.
I feel like either they didn't get. I feel like they either got sprayed down or they were just hot in those suits.
Full body like leather jumpsuit and tropical weather. It's just not good. We're going to start off with our directors. There's 2 directors on this movie.
All right, 1993. I
was,
oh damn,
that's right. So the interview I saw with him that's on the Criterion supplemental disc was from 1990. So
they got him right at the end. We're talking about Ishiro Honda, who was one of the 2 directors.
Yes.
He is mostly, like Nick had said, he's got the writing credit on the 2014 Godzilla. He is mostly known for directing Godzilla movies. Last one and 2, he couldn't have directed. Looks like he must have done like segments of it.
They probably yanked old footage.
Yeah. From Godzilla vs. Destroya and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Those were in 1995 and 2000. Let's see. Aside from that, he's got...
Dreams. That's a great Kurosawa movie.
Oh, okay.
In fact, if I remember correctly, Scorsese appears in that as an actor.
Oh, all right.
Because he's a huge Kurosawa fan.
Let's take a quick look. In theory, a quick look. Here we go.
Yeah, he was also like a secondary unit director on Ran, which was...
Yeah, that's another great one.
Yeah, Martin Scorsese
really
appears as Vincent Van Gogh.
That's right, Vincent Van Gogh. I forgot. That was like the other part of that. But yes.
Okay, let's see. Aside from that, like I said, Godzilla 85.
That's just film clips from the looks of it.
Yeah, Gojira Fantaji. I don't know what that is, but yeah. That's 1984. There's just a straight up Godzilla in 19... Is that the cartoon, maybe? No, it's a movie just titled Godzilla.
I like that he's eating a train on the cover.
It's a colorized, like, Italian version, I guess.
Oh.
That's what it looks like.
Is it Giallo Godzilla?
Yeah. Godzilla murders his girlfriend and then, like...
In Technicolor.
There's, like, opera music and straight razors.
I fucking love Giallo movies.
Terror of Mechagodzilla, he's credited as director on Godzilla vs. Megalon.
That, I believe, was the last Godzilla movie that he actually full directed.
Okay.
Was Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, everything after that has, like, just, like, clips, original
Yeah, it's like
material.
a sub-credit.
Yeah, like they reuse footage.
There's a lot of crossover with Ultraman, too, and, like, Ultra Q, I've noticed. And all the actors and people
Godzilla appeared on Ultraman in this Ultraman series. They reused the Godzilla suit.
It was Jurass, I think was the name of the monster. He's got the big frill on his neck, but it's just a Godzilla suit. Like,
yeah, they just added some wacky adornments to make him. He's a different monster now.
Godzilla vs. Gigan.
Hey, is that Heat On?
It is, believe it or not. Wow. Yeah. It's getting colder in here because the door is closed.
It is nasty cold outside.
Well, there we go. King Kong Escapes, right there.
Yeah, King Kong Escape shows up in a lot of this IMDb, as does War of the Gargantuas.
I love that movie.
Oh, Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine.
Oh yeah, that's Vincent. Is that Vincent Price?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Vincent Price.
Hold on, that's 1965.
There's actually 2 Dr. Goldfoot movies. I believe there's a sequel.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Then there's also a lyrical credit in a Rob Zombie movie or a song.
I'm sure there is.
Let's see, Destroy All Monsters, and I think All Monsters Attack the year after that.
Yeah.
Invasion of the Astro Monster, which is King Ghidorah, of course. Ghidorah the 300 Monster.
So mostly monster movies.
Yeah, Mothra vs. Godzilla, King Kong vs. Godzilla.
At least at a certain point. In the interview, he mentions that he got Godzilla just because it was the kind of the luck of the draw, because he was a studio director and they would assign, but you could decline a movie assignment if you wanted to, and nobody wanted to do special effects or monster movies, but he was still trying to get going. He's like, I'll work his work.
Yeah.
And because he had been in the military, he talked about how when he was on his way home, they came through Hiroshima after the bomb had gone off, and he saw the devastation and destruction and, the people, dying of cancer and everything. And he kind of felt like that was his way in to that movie.
Yeah.
To kind of show the horrors of atomic, and that's why that movie has so much resonance. Especially if you watch the Japanese version.
Yeah.
The original Japanese version, no Raymond Burr, none of that bullshit.
When we did it, there's 2 completely. We did it for the first episode, and they're just two completely different movies. Like there's
Very
this
much.
really thought. Excuse me, I'm getting off track already.
Somebody's got a little booziness.
Yeah. Thought out, really just meaningful story, and then there's the American version, which is Raymond Burr going, "Holy shit! You'll never guess what I just saw."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Or he's having a Japanese character explain to him what just happened.
Yeah, they're really 2 completely separate movies. There's one which is a movie that absolutely takes itself seriously, and another one that's kind of taking the piss out of it and is
treats it as just your B-level monster movie.
Yeah, it was just another teenagers are going to watch this while they're giving each other dry handies,
and that's he actually talks about that in that interview. It's a really nice interview. You have to kind of focus because it's all in Japanese, so you got to read the subtitles. But he talks about that. He really stressed to the crew and the actors and everybody. He's like, I want to do this as a serious movie.
Yeah,
because the underlying theme is serious. And so I think that made a huge difference, because if they had kind of maybe not cared or camped it up a little or whatever, it would not have been the movie that it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's I don't think at that point in our show we were giving ratings.
No, we didn't have a format. Yeah,
but if I had to, I would give the Japanese probably a strong 7.5.
Yeah,
and the American version is at least just
a 5.
A 5. Yeah,
it's
there's that much of a difference.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything? I don't want to shortchange it, but he's done a lot of the Godzilla movies, even up to the original.
Yeah.
And we'll leave. He did Rodan too. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he did Rodan.
You mentioned Varan. That's up here also.
Yeah, Varan. Did he not do Mothra? I don't see Mothra on there.
Maybe Mothra was the early 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's see. Mothra, yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay, and that's why I also, for a long time, I called him Inashiro Honda, and that's why, because he's credited as Inashiro Honda in that movie.
All right, moving on. The other co-director, Jun Fukuda, also did a lot of Godzilla stuff.
Yeah.
This Monkey TV series I noticed shows up in a lot of people's credits from this movie. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla is one of the ones he worked on.
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Megalon, which we just mentioned a little while ago.
Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla was the first Godzilla movie I saw in a movie theater in like 1977 or 1978.
Oh, really?
It was a Saturday matinee.
That's the one where like everybody, well, you think you're seeing a Godzilla movie, but it turns out it's just Mechagodzilla, like in a Godzilla suit.
Right.
And then like Godzilla shows up at the end, basically.
Well, no, that's kind of the first scene. I mean, you think Godzilla's, terrorizing the world, and then another Godzilla shows up.
Yeah.
But it's the real Godzilla, and eventually he like tears away at like the fake Godzilla skin and reveals Mechagodzilla.
That's why we had that before King Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong came out. That's kind of the theory we had. Was that
like
it wasn't really Godzilla, it was Mechagodzilla, but then they took that shitty twist with it.
Exactly. Speaking as a larger gentleman, I'm going to fat shame Ghidorah here.
He's a total lard ass.
I don't know what they like padded that suit or something. I've never seen him look so fat.
He's a tubby boy.
The beginning of that fight scene where
he gets his shit pushed in.
Oh no, Ghidorah! And then it's like, oh no, Ghidorah!
Oh man.
I also like the whole time I was watching this scene, I just like one of those like memes where it's like, Monster Island monsters at 100% strength, and it's like all of the Monster Island monsters, and then like. The second panel, Monster Island monsters at 99.9% strength. And like it's just Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the B team.
Yeah. Kuumongo does nothing. Like him and Mothra like hose him down here. Like, yeah.
Well, that's the other one of the other discrepancies in this movie too. Is like I think on the dub version they call him Spiga. In the subtitles, they call him Kuumonga.
Yeah.
And I've always known that character, the giant spider, as Spiga. So I'm not sure. I'm guessing that Kuumonga is the actual.
That's the name I've always known him by, as Kuumonga. Yeah.
That might be
the
his actual
Rodan
name.
puppet looks really bad.
It's so bad.
He looks
like he's melting.
Yeah, he looks like he had his face punched in. Yeah. He really does. It's all flat.
That little special boy, Rodan.
He looked like he'd, maybe gone a couple rounds with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He just...
His eyes are a little crossed.
He's beat up.
Anguirus riding on Ghidorah's neck.
Yeah. I did like this. This. It's super, super dopey looking, but it's so fun. And a lot of people don't realize, you're going into these movies and you're not getting... these Oscar-worthy special effects and these like great things, but you're getting a good time.
Yeah.
It replaces the artistic nature that you're looking for in any kind of movie with just like a really good time.
Fighting.
It's just monsters fighting, and if you can get behind that, you can get behind this movie.
Absolutely. What's not to love?
Let's see. Anything else? Don't want to shortchange him, but like I said, everybody, I swear, has identical credits.
It's a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of Japanese movies I can't even pronounce on here. No offense, I'm sure they're great, but I like.
You can pronounce Son of Godzilla.
That one I can. Yeah. I really have a soft spot for Minya as a character. I don't know why.
Do you really?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite characters, and it's one of the the figures that's it's ridiculously expensive to buy.
Really?
Yeah, the cheapest I could find it for just the regular the 6-inch Bandai plastic Minya.
New or old?
Yeah, it's like $80. Just wow. Yeah, just for a freestanding figure. It's ridiculous. It's where Gorosaurus goes about to mount him from behind
Gorosaurus just kind of stomps around and,
he's pretty much just yelling in the background. He's a hype
somehow
man.
Just hit him with a Captain Kirk flying drop kick a minute ago.
Give him a glow stick and some ecstasy. I think he's going to be in a rave somewhere.
He looks like a hype man.
He does.
He's the Flavor Flav of Monster Island.
He totally is.
Oh yeah, and they bite his tail and shit. Oh my god!
He just beat the hell out of him.
So, there we go. Gorosaurus is actually doing something
Like, this is
here.
some jailhouse
This is
shit.
when Minion hits him with the one ring around his neck.
Yeah,
I helped.
That's the comic relief. Yeah, and somehow the smoke ring like decommissions him right there.
Yeah.
It's like he's had enough.
He just happened to pass out at the same time. I think.
Probably from smoke inhalation.
All right, moving on.
Okay.
Jun Tazaki. He was one of the doctors. Hold on, let me get his name.
Well, if you passed it, it would have been up right by his name.
Dr. Yoshido.
Okay.
Again, not like... Oh, he was in Ran, which is a Kurosawa movie.
Kurosawa, yeah.
Yeah.
He was in some of the older ones, too. I want to say he was in Seven Samurai.
I just saw you just scrolled past War of the Gargantuas. He was in that as
Yeah,
well.
I was going to say War of the Gargantua shows up again. Hold on, let me go way back to the beginning.
Summon Frankenstein.
Oh my gosh, he's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah,
this
going
guy.
back to 1948.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to say...
You are not going to know any of these.
No, there was a couple of Kurosawa movies. That's why I saved him. I think it's why I saved him.
Was he in Rashomon? He looks familiar.
I don't know. Let's ask 6 other guys if they remember.
He could have been.
Yeah, these are a lot of movies I can't pronounce.
I'm sure you could if you wanted to.
Yeah. Genghis Khan is Mongols. That one I can
Yep,
pronounce.
there it is.
Ichimatsu travels with ghosts. 2 for 2. The 5 Swordsmen. 3 for 3. Look at that.
Echo in the Mountains.
Yes. Man Against Man. Look, this dude's in a lot of Japanese movies. I want to say he's in a bunch of Godzilla movies also. We saw King Kong vs. Godzilla. We saw Mothra vs. Godzilla. We saw War of the Monsters also on here. Not War of the Monsters, War of the Gargantuas.
War of the Gargantuas with the great Russ Tamblyn.
Yes, Amber Tamblin's father.
Frankenstein versus Baragon, which is Frankenstein from War of the Gargantuans, right?
Yeah, so that's a prequel to War of the Gargantuas.
I want to say there was another Frankenstein versus somebody movie.
As Frankenstein Conquers the World, I believe,
Yeah,
is it?
Frankenstein Conquers the World was the other one. Yeah,
Ultra Q pops up again.
Ibira, Horror of the Deep.
Yeah. Battle of the Japan Sea, that one shows up on a lot of the credits here. Like I said, it's incredible how similar everybody's IMDb listing is. Let's see, the Imperial Navy I want to shows up on a lot of these also. But yeah, he was in Ran, was a Kurosawa movie. Yukiko Kobayashi, she was Kyoko.
Kyoko, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Ran is it's Macbeth, right? I think it's a retelling of Macbeth.
I think so. I think
in
you're right.
feudal Japan.
I know he did a version of Macbeth, and I can't remember which movie it was.
Yeah, I'm
but
pretty sure it's Ran.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
never
Ran
seen
is it. I just remember Ran was like 3 hours long.
It's so long. It's so good though.
It's a very good movie.
She was not in much we'd recognize. Space Amoeba is a movie that shows up I think in everybody's IMDb credit in this movie.
I think that Honda didn't direct that one as well. I think
Possibly. I might have glanced over it.
I think I saw that on his page.
Ishiro Honda, yeah.
There we go.
And then she was also in Ultra 7, another Ultraman.
Yep.
Not project, but property. There we go. That's the word I was looking
She
for.
had a pretty short career there. She only really worked for about 5-6 years there.
Yeah, and then shows up from 1973 to 2018, takes a break, and then shows up in a movie again.
Huh. Interesting. Well, she probably had a family and stopped acting for a while. That's my guess.
Let's see. Yoshio Tsuchiya.
I can already tell.
He was the dude who's in Seven Samurai and Yojimbo.
Oh
And I thought I saw Kagemusha there, which was another.
Let's see.
Which is another Kurosawa film.
Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah in 1991.
Yojimbo is so good.
Yojimbo is
and so influential.
Excellent movie. Yeah.
Monkey, like I said, shows up on a lot of these. Space Amoeba again. Battle of the Japan Sea, which shows up on a lot of these.
Yep.
I've seen Golden Eyes a few times in these credits.
Yeah. Son of Godzilla. Ultraman.
Moment of
Ultra
terror.
Q. Invasion of the Astro Monster. A lot of Frankenstein vs. Baragon. So like I said, everybody's credits are the same in this. Any other curious? Yojimbo, which we said, 1961.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we don't have Yojimbo, we don't have Fistful of Dollars. If we don't have Fistful of Dollars, we don't have Last Man Standing.
Yeah. The Bruce Willis version?
Yeah.
Well, gee whiz. It's not worth living without that one.
Yeah.
He's in Godzilla Raids again.
There you go.
Yeah, Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Andrew Hughes.
There
this was
we
the
go.
one, like, oddly placed guy who we said was dressed like a butler.
You know how old he is? He was born in the Ottoman Empire.
He was born in 1908 in the Ottoman Empire. Oh my God.
Wow.
That's crazy. He was mostly in like Japanese movies, it looks like. He was in a movie up until 1984.
Well, nobody else would hire him, probably.
Yeah. He was in Tora, Tora, Tora.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, which is a pretty renowned movie.
I remember that.
Golden Eyes pops up again. King Kong escapes. I've noticed Las Vegas Free for All shows up in a lot of these credits. Battle in Outer Space I've seen on here. The Big Boss, not the Bruce Lee one though.
Crack in the World. That sounds familiar.
Where we go? Crack in the World. Let's take a look.
The Big Boss. Yeah, that's not a Bruce Lee movie. That's earlier than. Crack in the World sounds familiar. I just I don't remember.
Dying scientist pushes forward his project to tap through to the Earth's magma layer, with results that threaten to destroy the Earth as we know it.
It is about a crack in the world.
Yeah.
All right.
And not just Detroit.
Wow.
All right.
Take
Moving
him
on.
to Detroit.
Yoshifumi Tajima. Let's see. He played General. That's it. Just General. Ultra Q. He was in Godzilla 1985, The Return of Godzilla, which I think is the same movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got the same credit.
Again, they inserted Raymond Burr into the American version.
They just did it again.
Yeah.
Battle of the Japan Sea, which we mentioned earlier. King Kong escapes. War of the Gargantuas, Ultra Q. Frankenstein vs. Baragon, Invasion of the Astro Monster.
Yeah.
I said these are all the same.
Mothra versus Godzilla.
King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Oh, there's Atragon. That's where Amanda's from, right?
Possibly.
I think that was Manda's movie. Was Atragon?
Definitely a race car, spaceship. Oh yeah, there we go, right there,
Yeah.
There's Manda on the poster.
right in the corner. Let's see, anything else? Anything different from anybody else on this?
It's probably not.
Yeah, Mothra. No.
The Bad Sleep Well.
How do you sleep at night with yourself?
That sounds like a
pretty
film.
well.
That sounds like a film noir movie.
Yeah, it does.
Kenji Sahara. Let's see. He played.
Oh, he was in Ultra Q.
Yeah, go figure.
Weird.
What do you know?
A bunch of Ultraman stuff. Superior Ultraman, Ultraman Mebius, Ultraman Nexus. He was in Godzilla Final Wars. Sonic X. I think it was the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon.
Yeah.
Hitman.
Tax Inspector Madagawa.
Hitman was a Jet Li movie. Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. He was killing the Godzilla movies up until the 90s.
Space Godzilla, Mechagodzilla 2. Yeah.
Same character, too.
Red Dead Wagon 4, 2 Gravestones.
That's a TV movie.
TV movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the interesting thing about the 90s Godzilla is that they actually did try to do connected story.
Yeah.
Like they had characters that followed through each of the movie, not just the monsters.
Yeah.
That's where you get like the junior Godzilla that like grows up to
And
become.
there was that one character that was like the psychic girl who was in a few of the movies.
Oh, yeah,
I forget what her name was, but she's in a few of the movies.
I don't know. They tried that with Halloween.
And Friday the 13th.
Right.
Yeah.
That did not work.
That's a trope.
Space Amoeba shows up again. Battle
There
of
it
Japan
is.
Sea. Ultra 7, Ultra Q, Son of Godzilla, War of the Gargantuas, Frankenstein vs. Baragon. Like I said, I saved this many IMDb pages just to show that they're all pretty much like the same thing. It's weird. But like we said, they're probably just studio players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
And then last one I saved just for basically this picture.
What the fuck is that?
Hisaya Ito. He played Major Tada. I don't really care about what else he was in, but his IMDb picture, he looks like he's dressed like a jack from a deck of cards. He's like a big like neck frill.
But he's got the Tarantino sunglasses with
cool shades and slick back hair.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Oh wow!
IMDb is sometimes just a treasure trove.
I feel like if we pulled back out from that close up, he would be wearing like dancer tights.
Yeah,
and and those like black ballet shoes.
Maybe the ones like with like the guards of the palace wearing like in like the puff balls on the end of the feet.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They wear puff balls, but they could beat the fuck out of you.
Ultra Q shows up again.
Ultra Q, Frankenstein versus Baragon. Yeah. Oh my god.
Like I said, these are all the same credits. Atragon. We get the picture.
I think we could stop here.
Yeah. And Battle from Outer Space. There we go. And that's going to do it for the Better Known As this week. Like I said, there was not a whole lot to be had. And unfortunately, the Monster She Wrote streak has come to an end.
Yeah, she broke.
Yeah. We'll be back soon enough. I mean, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was like I said, it took me a while to get through this. I kind of kept falling asleep.
I am guilty of looking at my phone during this movie.
Yeah, I had to make a specific point to not keep looking at my phone.
Yep.
Because if I was doing anything other than paying attention to the movie, I would completely lose my place because I wasn't reading the subtitles.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was able to circumvent that by making myself a giant bowl of buttered popcorn, so I couldn't touch my phone during the movie.
That'll do it.
I sat there. I set myself up in the living room, moved the chair so it was directly in front of the TV and not off to the side.
Yeah,
and it was. I had a good time with it, but I do have to admit, once the popcorn was done,
you started to drift.
Yeah,
it was a little bit of a drift.
Whenever there's not a monster on screen, it's
I stop losing, or I start losing interest.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not that like I don't really care. It's just it was hard to want to pay attention to the humans when I know there's so many monsters.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that the one scene that really stuck out for me for whatever reason it was
when the guy jumps out of the window.
Well, there was that. That was kind of cool because that was like a totally horrible dummy. It was such an obvious dummy.
That was set up like almost like a Hitchcock kind of scene.
Yeah,
it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was very strange. You're like, this guy just kind of calmly got up and walked.
And did anybody else not see him? Like, this guy's about to jump out.
What are you doing?
About to jump out. Like,
honor suicide.
These guys don't see him getting up to jump out the window.
Yeah, that was definitely a scene.
Committing Harry Canary or something.
But I've totally lost where I was. The scene. The scene that was when they like take apart the moon tank thing that they had.
Oh, they're cutting it apart with the.
They take the mazer off the thing, and somehow he's like wielding it like Rambo to like, slice off this control. It's like you're going to destroy this device. It's not going to do you any good.
It's where the cord like lights on fire. And
But that's the thing. The cord lit on fire like almost immediately.
Yeah, we need more power.
He's like. They're like, there's like flames 3 feet high coming off the.
Turn it up and leave it on. What?
And they shut it off. And
we're going to die.
Like, you turn it back on now. It's just like this whole. He just,
Yeah.
It was just such a crazy scene, and again, a lot of sweat in that scene.
Yeah,
there was a lot of sweat.
Well, I mean, they cut that casing apart after whacking it for like 3 seconds with an angle grinder. Like, come on.
The only thing I could think of was, I don't know, do you remember on Letterman, he used to have that lady come on with the grinder? She had like the metal breastplate, or maybe it was Conan that did that.
It sounds more like a Conan
Yeah,
thing.
definitely.
And she would take like the grinding thing and just like sparks would be flying off her breasts.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy.
Yep.
I actually, now that I think, that was definitely a Conan thing. That was definitely a Conan
It sounds
thing.
more his speed.
But that's all I could think of, because he's like got this little grinding thing and there's sparks flying all over the place. It was like, I don't know.
So what monster movie would you rather have been watching if you could choose?
From the Godzilla series itself?
Anyone.
Or,
Anything.
oh boy. That's a tough choice.
Or would you, or are you happy that you watched it?
I mean, I'm always happy to watch Godzilla, unless
Yeah.
it's Godzilla on Monster Island, which that's probably the one disc on the Criterion Collection I will not watch, because it was a shitty movie.
So bad.
It was horrible. Like the worst. That's the one where they talk, Anguirus and Godzilla talk to each other.
Yeah.
Hey, Anguirus, yeah.
It's just awful. And like, you can tell that they took off-the-shelf models for Ghidorah and Gigan and just put them on wires. And,
It just zoomed him around.
yeah, it's like Plan 9 from Outer Space bad.
Oh, man.
And I think Plan 9 from Outer Space had more integrity. It just
Oh, no!
it was such a, I mean, I remember when I saw that in the theater, it was probably like 81 or 82, and I was, like 12 or 13, however old I was.
Sitting there going, what the fuck is this?
And my brother and I were there, huge Godzilla fans, and we were just like angry. We were like, this fucking sucks, And of course, my mom, it drove us over there, and I don't know, it was like $1.50 for a ticket or something.
Yeah.
But, we felt bad for wasting her money.
That sucks.
It was such a horrible, horrible movie. I mean, as far as monster movies go, I mean, I like the Godzilla series. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Kaiju. War of the Gargantuas is a lot of fun.
I enjoy that one, yeah.
That one that has a connection to, I know they got a mention earlier, but I am a fairly big Devo fan.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a scene in War of the Gargantuas where there's a nightclub singer
The words get stuck in my mouth.
singing a song called "The Words Get Stuck in My Throat,"
Yeah,
which Devo actually covered in concert. They would sing it. Of course, they redid the lyrics a little bit, because they're Devo. But it's just such a cool little trivia connection, for that. If you can actually find footage of them singing it on YouTube if you look it up. If you type in "Words Get Stuck in My Throat," you'll see the movie version, and then there's probably at least a couple live concert footage of Devo doing
the
that
lounge
song.
singer who ends up getting eaten by one of the gargantuans.
It's such a wild movie. But as far as like, I mean, if we want to broaden it to like horror movie, I'm a big fan of the Evil Dead movies. I love Bruce Campbell. I love Sam Raimi.
What did you think of the reboot of Evil Dead 2013?
Oh, the Fede Alvarez.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It was all right. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was, but it didn't really knock my socks off.
I thought it was really good, like you said, for what it was.
Excuse me.
I think it lacked that humor, element of it.
Well, the first one didn't have the humor.
Yeah,
And I think
Not as much, but it had a spirit to it because it was such a, hey kids, let's put on a show, kind of a, we're just going to make this movie at whatever it takes, kind of spirit to it.
Yeah,
And
I think that remake had just like everything that I wanted out of it. Because I think if they did the humor, they had that chance of like going too far with it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a really good modern interpretation of what they were going for in the original.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, I will say. Yeah.
And as far as like kind of offshoots from that whole genre, I went into when I saw Cabin in the Woods, I had no idea I just knew that.
Same.
Yeah.
I just went in going, okay, this is the guy, Drew Goddard, is directing it, and I knew he had done some. I forget now what he was done, and
He did a lot of work on like Buffy, I think, and stuff like
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah. And I was like, and who wrote this? Like, it doesn't matter. I went in almost completely blind. I'm like, oh, okay, they're going to do kind of a take on the Evil Dead kind of,
Yeah.
teenagers in a cabin kind of movie, and it'll be fun.
They totally turned it on its head.
And I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap, this movie like goes in so many strange directions, and it keeps flipping around.
Yeah.
Like by the time it gets to the end, I'm like, what the
That's
fuck
a movie
is this
I wish I could see like fresh.
The first time, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of like the quote unquote twist, but this one nailed it because I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
right.
that's where it's good.
And the thing is, like, it keeps twisting. It's like it's not even.
Yeah, it's not one twist. Yeah.
Yeah, there's multiple twists. It just keeps twisting. It keeps genre bending, and I really had a lot of fun with that movie.
And the payoff with the mermaid is.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That's the best.
The merman or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, because you totally expect going into that. You expect one thing, and then they subvert that fairly quickly. It's all of a sudden it's like, hey, wait a minute, what are, we've got Bradley Whitford and Richard Jenkins, and like, what the hell is going on? What is this? And then they just keep twisting and twisting and twisting from there, and it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
It was clever. Like you don't get a whole lot of clever anymore.
No, and then they had the balls to have the ending that they had, because they're like, oh man, they totally went for it on the ending. There's no sequel for this one, and that was great. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But I do find that as I'm older and after I became a father, like a lot of the gorier movies, just like zombie movies. I used to be a huge zombie movie fan, and then like after my daughter was born, I can't watch them. I don't know what it is.
Parenthood changes you in a way. It's
really
very
does.
strange.
I totally agree. So I don't know. So I guess if you like zombie movies, don't have kids. I don't know.
I wouldn't go that far. I have kids. I still love a good zombie movie, but I find my criteria for good has changed a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
Because like if it's just gore for the sake of gore, then I'm not so much into it.
Right.
I like
it's
a
got to
good.
be a good story.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
I have to ask: have you seen Howl from Beyond the Fog?
Howl from Beyond the Fog is not. I don't. That does not sound familiar to
Highly
me at all.
recommend it. Yeah.
Howl
It's
Beyond
so
the
good.
Fog.
We did one of our first episodes on it.
I think it was our 4th episode, maybe.
Oh,
No, maybe like 5th, because 4 was Candyman.
okay.
Yeah, it's in that. It's in that
It's
area.
it's a kaiju movie, except it's only like 40 minutes long. It's with puppets though. Everything is puppets.
Okay.
The monsters, the people, everything is puppets. It's set in Japan in like the early
like the
1900s.
feudal era.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like there's just like power. There's trains. It's not like modern, but like they're modernizing basically.
Okay.
It is it's beautifully shot, beautiful story. Like
It's super artistic.
yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I highly recommend it.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sounds-
it's
that
not
sounds cool.
it's not a huge time commitment. It's,
Okay. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say it's like 40, 45 minutes maybe.
Okay.
It's in that ballpark.
That's cool.
You might it might advertise it as being like an hour and a half because there's the movie and then there's like
Making
a
of,
45 minute like making of behind the scenes
Okay.
kind of thing.
All right.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check that out. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah, and for anybody else listening, watch that goddamn movie.
And then listen to our episode on it.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and listen to your episode. Like I was telling Nick before, I was like, I've only heard maybe like 8 to 10 episodes. I haven't had time to listen to all of them. I've
That's fine,
been
that's
kind of picking and choosing. I'm like, oh, I want to hear what they have to say about that movie, or but I've definitely missed a few along the way. So, and plus, like my Apple podcast, like they keep messing around with the app, and it's I just want to be able to like listen to my stuff in order. It's like I want a list of unlistened episodes, and I want it to play, from oldest to newest. But there's no way to do that.
Yeah,
Stitcher has been doing that
There's
too.
no real easy way to do that.
It used to be like much better organized, and now it's just like this weird, like, here's this, just throw stuff at you.
Yeah.
So like when something new comes up, it bumps everything back.
Yeah.
And if you didn't listen to something, you end up like there's like shows that I completely forgot I listened to because I missed like an episode and it just gets bumped in the back of the thing.
Right.
Spotify is actually really good for keeping your shit in like
in order,
the way you want to listen to it.
Okay.
So like if you want to start a new show, because I used to listen to everything on Stitcher.
Right.
And the way it used to be was if I start a show on episode 1, I'll listen to that, it'll go to episode 2, and then it'll go to episode 3. The way it's set up now is I listen to episode 1, and then the next thing that I'm listening to is the newest episode of whatever the latest show that came out was. And there's like no way to change it in my settings.
Yeah, Apple does the other dumb thing where like if you're listening to it, instead of going to the next episode, it'll go to the previous episode that you listened to.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So like if you're listening to like episode 3,
like
instead of it going to episode 4 when it's done, it goes to episode 2.
Yeah.
It plays like top down.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't let you reverse the order. Like you can't reverse sort.
Yeah.
Unless there's
really...
some way to do it, and we sound like idiots right now. But
if there is, it's buried. Like, way deep
not
in,
obvious.
And I'm speaking as somebody that actually worked for the company for 10 years, and it's like, I get pissed off at them for some of the changes that they've made. They do some stupid stuff with their software sometimes. It's like, why did you make that change? Like iTunes used to be a really good program, and now it's just like bloatware.
Yeah,
I couldn't even tell you the last thing I purchased through iTunes.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I don't use iTunes. I'm not an Apple fan, pretty much
Well,
at all.
I can't help myself at this point. It's like I'm not going to buy anything else.
Yeah,
I know this. I don't want to learn how to use anything else.
I understand the appeal of Apple.
Yeah.
I don't have the desire for it.
Yeah, I started off with Apple way back when, and it was like I learned how to program on an Apple IIe way back when, which really dates me. But I remember in college, my roommate had a Mac, like the first Mac, the little like toaster oven looking thing, and I've just been and that my first computer, like I bought when he upgraded, I got his old computer. Like I got he sold me his old Mac. So my first computer was a Mac, and I've just been, and because I do a lot of graphic design and stuff, and music and all that.
They're built to just like run that shit.
Yeah, it's been my go-to.
Before we go, you were always working on something. You music wise, comic wise,
sure.
Podcast wise. What do you got coming out?
Well, I've like you said, I've got a lot of kind of irons in the fire. I obviously, I've got my own podcast going. It's called Assault of the Two-Headed Space Mules. I do cover some of the same territory that you do with movies, but I talk about music, comics, just various things. Along the way, I've done shows. I just did an interview with Tom McWaters. I know
he's been a guest on this show.
Has been a guest on this show, and
our Hellraiser episode.
Yeah.
I've interviewed Michael Pilmer, who works for Devo. He's like he's like their archivist, and he goes with them on tour and takes videos, and he runs their website, and that was a fun talk. And I've done a bunch of other things.
I do like Devo. More of an Oingo Boingo fan.
Oh, I like Oingo Boingo too. They have they share some similarities.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in style, but definitely in in their
just 80s weirdness.
Yeah. Just kind of. So my podcast is still kind of ongoing. I don't do it as frequently because I've got other things going on. So I think I just did like my 77th episode, and that's after 10 years of doing the show. But so I do try to do between 6 and 8 episodes a year. So every other month. It's kind of a infrequent podcast.
Just something to get the demons out.
Yeah, kind of. But I'm trying to, I've got some plans for kind of revamping it for this year, with like a new theme song and kind of maybe trying to figure out a little bit more of a format for it. I know I was leaning a little too heavily on my co-hosts, which I mean I enjoy talking to them and stuff, but I do want to, I think like I've done a couple of interviews, lately, so which don't involve having co-hosts on the show. So it's tough to get them all together because they literally span like 8 time zones. I've got one guy is in California, one guy's in Minnesota, one's in Nashville, and the other guy's in England. So trying to set up a show.
There's like 45 minutes, which it's all good for all of us. Like,
Fortunately, Jeff in England is very flexible with his, because sometimes he's, we're starting and it's like after midnight there.
So we're going to record at 3 a.m. or 6 a.m. Which would you like?
Right. And, and it's after midnight and it's, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon out in California for, I don't know if it's quite that bad, but it's pretty close. So that's always fun. So I'm looking to kind of revamp that a little bit for this coming year. I'm hoping to have some very kind of varied guests, on. I've got a couple of show ideas that I'm working on. One is I'm going to talk about a trilogy of albums that most people don't know about. That there's back in the late 70s, early 80s, Daryl Hall, Robert Fripp, and Peter Gabriel. There's a trilogy of albums that Robert Fripp produced, all 3 albums, and they were all supposed to be kind of a trilogy. But of course, Tommy Mottola kind of put the nix on that. So
was that under a band name, or it was just?
No, Robert Fripp had at that point had quit King Crimson. In the mid 70s, and he was putting out his first solo album in 1979 called Exposure. And he produced the second Peter Gabriel album, which is, I think, the one with the scratch where he's scratching the cover. Yeah. He didn't name his albums. It was just Peter Gabriel. Yeah. We kind of
he's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah. And then somehow Robert Fripp got involved with Daryl Hall. Daryl Hall was actually one of the guest singers on his Exposure album, and Daryl Hall had him produce his album Sacred Songs, which eventually did come out, but it got delayed for several years because Tommy Mottola, who was like the head of whatever label that was at the time, I'm still doing research.
He was Warner Brothers, was it?
I know he was head of Sony for a while, but that's before Sony, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, so there was a whole thing with that, and it's just kind of neat. Most people are like Daryl Hall and Robert Fripp and Peter Gabriel. It's like, so, but
it can definitely work because Robert Fripp, you have that prog rock pedigree from King Crimson.
Sure.
But then, Peter Gabriel was in Genesis before he was solo, which was super prog.
Oh yeah. They kind of put the nail in the coffin on prog rock, I think. Yeah. In some ways, but yeah. So that's a show idea that I've got that I'm working on for some research that I'm researching right now, and that's a lot. That's going to be a lot of fun. So those are the kinds of different things that I like to talk about on my show. I'm still working on this graphic novel I've been working on for like 5 or 6 years now, which I'm hoping that I will eventually be able to kind of dive into. I've got a lot of big ideas for it, and it's, I have, it's going to be a 3-part. I'm probably going to publish it in 3 parts, maybe like 24 to 32 pages each. Total is going to be in that 75 to 100 page, for the whole complete story. But it's kind of written in 3 separate arcs, and I've got the first one completely written and thumbnailed in my sketchbook. But it's a matter of working, because I'm starting to teach myself how to do some of the digital stuff, so that's been kind of slowing down my progress. And of course, it's my first full-length graphic novel as a story, because most of the comics that I do are single page, single panel. Sometimes I've done some short stories, in that 5 to 7 page range, but this is like the first big story that I'm trying to do. So that's kind of daunting, but I'm still working on that. I've got some ideas. I actually have an idea for an anthology book with a bunch of short stories. So we'll see if that takes shape. I've published my own book since 1995, and I did publish a book with my brother in 2016. We did a book called We All Travel Time, which was a lot of fun, bunch of short stories, but I'm thinking a little bigger, of maybe trying to do an anthology book with a bunch of different artists, but logistically that's a little bit harder to
you gotta corral everybody's schedule.
Not even just wrangling people to get the work done, but it's like, well, how are you going to compensate everybody fairly when you don't have much of a budget to begin with? And it's important to me, as an artist, to be fairly compensated for my work. And I you hear so many horror stories about people getting ripped off and doing work and then not getting paid, and I want to
do it for the exposure, man.
Exposure isn't going to get you too much.
I'll expose myself too.
Right, exactly. So I'm working on that, and oddly enough, my music seems to be the thing that I'm most prolific with these days, because it's just so goddamn easy to do, as far as for me, for the style of music I do, because I do a lot of soundtrack ambient kind of music, where it's not, I don't have to I don't really write lyrics for. Every now and then I feel like I have to put words on a song or something, but most of the time I'm instrumental, so I don't have to worry about that end of it a lot of the time. And a lot of the time I'm just kind of trying to create a mood of some sort. I just put out an album at Christmas. I wanted to do a Christmas song, so I created a video, like a Yule log video, and kind of a soundtrack to go with that, and that was a lot of fun, and just kind of creating something that people could put on in the background, or if they wanted to, they could put their full attention on it if they wanted to. I just wanted it to be something where they could either chill out with it, or they could be wrapping presents, or whatever, just have it on in the background. That was a challenge, because you don't want it to be so, so laid back that it's boring and nobody wants to listen to it.
You get a lot of those lo-fi hip hop beats kind of things that are coming to prominence now, because you can just throw it on and not really pay attention to it, and it's a gap filler, or you have those ones where there's something catchy in it that you can focus on if you want to.
I'll throw that on when I'm reading comics, the lo-fi hip hop playlist.
It's really I like to throw that kind of stuff on and go to sleep.
So and then just a couple weeks ago I put out the soundtrack to every year. I do a Halloween episode on my podcast where I read a public domain horror story.
Oh, nice.
I usually, try to find a public domain horror story. I've done H.P. Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard and Edgar Allan Poe and that kind of stuff. This last year I did The Monkey's Paw.
Nice.
Which is a great story.
Yep.
And
Classic.
So I always do, since 2015 when I started doing this, I do create a new soundtrack. As I read the story, I do a soundtrack for the story underneath on the podcast, and then I release the soundtrack out
cool.
into the wild. So I just put out the soundtrack to The Monkey's Paw. It's out on all the major streamers.
Awesome.
Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, etc., etc.
So that's where everybody can find your music. Where can they find everything else that you do?
Well, my books are available on Amazon. If you just look, actually, it's kind of, if you look up Douglas Arthur, you're actually, the search results are going to get you a lot of Douglas MacArthur books. So which is something that's dogged me my entire life because everybody's always made Douglas MacArthur jokes. I always kind of grin and bear it. At this point, it's just kind of amusing to me.
Yep.
That everybody always feels like they're the first one to make that joke. So yeah, if you look that up, or you can look up Dougside Syndicate, Dougside. It's all one word. My comic strip, when I did it back in the 90s, I had a weekly comic strip called Tales from the Doug Side, which was a play on words of Tales from the Dark Side, which was actually still on television at the time. So I started it when I was a college student at the University of Buffalo back in 1988. So I did it as a student, and then after I graduated, I was able to get into the newspaper, one of the local papers out there, and I did it for like 6 or 7 years every week. So and I continue to publish. I've published 15 books, I think, so far.
Oh, wow.
So you can find those on Amazon if you look. I think if you look up Dougside Syndicate, that's probably your best bet because, like I said, if you look up Douglas Arthur, you may find me, you may not.
Yeah.
The way the
you gotta scour it.
The way the search algorithm works. So yeah, I've got a few things. I am kind of, I've got my drawing board set up, so I am kind of sketching out some stuff, and I am working on that graphic novel, which, who knows when I'll actually ever finish it. But that's like, I'm at that age now where it's like, I just hope I can finish this project before I pass. It's like
you got a George R.R. Martin it.
Yeah. It's like string it out. But yeah, that's that. The podcast is on all of the. I use Anchor as my host.
They do a good job of pushing it out to a lot of places.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I picked it. Plus, they have unlimited storage. So, after years of like paying through the nose for storage, like I was on Podomatic for a while when I first started, and I did WordPress for a while, and
I think I'm in hock to WordPress for like $300 a year at this point.
Yeah. So there you go. And I'm on. If people want to look me up, I'm on Facebook. There's pages on Facebook for Tales from the Doug Side, Flaming Schwarzkopf Experience, which is the name of my band. So I'm a one-man band. I'm like 9 Inch Nails when he started, and Assault of the Two-Headed Space Mules, which is the podcast. So, and I generally, I don't overpost on those, but I generally try to do at least a post a week on those to kind of keep things going. Sometimes I'll post multiple times if I've got something new coming out, and I'll kind of cross post on all of those. But but that I'm easy enough to find if you look.
Awesome. Well, I think it's time for us to plug ourselves.
Yes,
please plug yourself.
As always, you guys can find us at www.bigdumbmonsterspodcast.com. You can email us movie suggestions, beer suggestions, mixed drink suggestions, I guess, if you have a Bartesian and we don't have those pods. BigDumbMonsters@gmail.com. If you feel like tweeting at us, you can do it at dumb_monsters. Find us on Facebook, Big Dumb Monsters Pod. And if you are on Slasher, which is a horror-centric social media, we are Big Dumb Monsters Podcast.
You can also find us on YouTube, our Big Dumb Monsters channel, and we are on Instagram at big_dumb_monsters.
Well, bye-bye.